Alright, we are here. Very first episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. We're here with James Raymond, my buddy James Raymond, and here we go. We're beginning a huge journey today.
Huge journey.
A huge 60-hour plus journey, and I'm so glad, James, that you are the guy who's here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited, very honored.
Filmmaker James Raymond. We're starting a new game. Yes, we're not going to use this other save file. Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know where to begin.
I don't even know where to begin with this. We are here. Oh,
wait,
I can. We're It's like torture listening to ourselves. We're here now, and James, we've known each other for like 10 years now.
I know. I know. I think this is the 10th year, isn't it? When we
I met you in 2000.
It was 2007. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, not 10 years.
Not 10 years, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. It feels like it's been a long time.
It's been a long journey since the beginning.
And have you played Final Fantasy VI before?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. You're the one who got me into it because when we lived together at Barf Space, you were playing it, and I played it off of using an emulator on my computer. And I got really far into it. I didn't get to the final boss, but I got pretty much to the point where I was like training to fight the final boss, and then I stopped. I think that's the simplest way to tell that story.
All right, let's get into this plot point.
So I've never beaten the game, which I think
me neither.
And you haven't either.
I haven't either. That's why I want to do this series.
Yeah, so I think that'll be. I'm excited for that moment when you reach it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this beginning part of the game?
It's a little slow.
I always found I like it a lot, but it's kind of slow, and it's also weird because it's so different from kind of the rest of the game in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never really use these robot bodies again.
No.
I think you do like a little bit later. But they're not main parts. You're also kind of the bad guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like weird too.
I kind of like that almost.
That was kind of cool. I like this wind ambience in the background, though.
I think we're gonna right now. I never watched this entire sequence of the opening credits, but I think for today, for the podcast, we are gonna watch it.
I agree.
We are gonna watch it. So basically, to sum up what just happened is the evil empire of this game is trying to revive the dread destructive power of magic, and they've got this mysterious female with them who's wearing a slave crown that lets them, these two guys, Biggs and Wedge, who are soldiers for the empire, control her.
Who are not really important characters in any way.
Well,
are they?
No.
No, they don't really.
There's characters named Biggs and Wedge in every Final Fantasy game. That's a recurrent.
I did not know that.
That's a recurrent thing. And they're named. Wedge is inspired by Wedge Antilles from Star Wars, I know. Biggs, I don't know where that one comes from.
Who's Wedge Antilles from Star Wars?
He is an X-Fighter pilot. Okay. I think that's what they're called, X-Fighters. Anyway. But, I'm still...
X-Wing, I think it's X-Wing.
X-Wings.
Yeah, it's X-Wings.
Yeah. I'm still sort of trying to figure out how, like, the flow of this podcast is gonna work, you know? This is the very first episode.
Yeah.
I want to, like, really get into it with people about, like, what they're working on in their lives. I also want it sort of to be because a lot of people do podcasts, right? And it's just like, here's a bunch of junk that doesn't have any thread through, and so my fantasy, the thread through is the game, you know?
Yeah.
And talking about that, and also, you know me, I like to combine art world people and nerd culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I wanted to combine these two things. But I'm still sort of like wondering how much time we want to spend on, you know what I mean? Like, talking about what this is or talking about what the people are working on.
I think that's your call. Why maybe...
I mean, this game is a slow burner,
it's
right?
a slow game. There's
so
a lot of just kind of walking
maybe
around.
I'll from now on, I'll like say like whenever there's like a plot point happening, we'll kind of like... Oh yeah, let's get that out of there. I don't think that's going in the recording though.
I know, it's just bothering me.
We'll stop the conversation for the plot point, but when it's just like this type of thing, we can just be riffing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, James.
What's up?
Filmmaker James Raymond, where were you born?
I was born in New York City.
Yeah.
Yes,
and you grew up in New York City? For how long?
I grew up in... it's confusing. My parents lived in the city, and they also had a house in upstate New York. And as I got... we kind of lived back and forth for a while, and then eventually, when I was in elementary school, I pretty much stayed in upstate New York, which is near Hudson, New York, for those out there who are wondering.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 2 hours outside of the city. And then I moved a lot. I moved to New Jersey for a year.
How old were you then?
I was like, I think I was like 11 or 12.
But just for 1 year you lived in New Jersey?
Just 1 year. Didn't really work out. And then I moved to Philadelphia a year later, and I pretty much stayed there for the rest of my teenage years.
The rest of your teenage years.
And then, should I keep going? I moved
Keep
around.
going.
Okay.
Keep
then
going.
I lived in Baltimore for 1 year. I went to MICA. I liked Baltimore a lot, but I sort of decided to transfer to CalArts in Los Angeles, and that's where I met John.
That's where you met me.
Yeah, and I think I was like 19, 20 at that point.
And when you were moving around a lot, did that have anything to do with your parents or filmmakers?
Kind of, yeah. My parents are documentary filmmakers. It didn't really have to do with that. It had more to do with that there aren't really that many good school systems in upstate New York, so my parents wanted me to get a better education.
Mm-hmm.
And in Philly, there is a school.
Quaker schools.
Yeah, it was a Quaker school. I was a school for dyslexic people.
Oh, yeah?
So, there's not too many special schools like that. So that was a big reason. But they ended up making quite a lot of movies in Philadelphia.
Because they lived there.
Yeah, I guess it was more just because they lived there. I don't know. It was one of those things where it just sort of weirdly worked out that way. Like, they made a movie when they were in New Jersey. They made a documentary about the prison system in Trenton. Then they made a documentary about a church in Philadelphia, and then they started making movies in Los Angeles, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I was in college, so yeah.
And what are like your parents? Their biggest project, though, or what they're maybe most known for at what they did before you were even born, was American Family. Is that what it's called?
Was in the 70s. My parents are sort of notorious for making the first, what is now considered to be the first reality TV show. Back then, it was not real. It was actually more of like an experimental TV show on PBS about a family in Santa Barbara. And it was supposed to be a very normal kind of just the life of a family, but the family, a lot of things happened. The son was openly gay. It was the first openly gay, I think, character to be portrayed on television.
It wasn't even a character; it was just a real guy.
And he was a real guy, so yeah, it wasn't a fictional character. And the parents got a divorce, which has raised a lot of controversy within documentaries.
Because the fact that the filmmaking was happening had an impact on their relationship, maybe, and that was not really as much to do with your parents, as I understand it. That was more like producers and stuff.
Yes, and it's funny to bring this up because there's actually a HBO movie based on this.
With James Gandolfini as the evil producer.
James Gandolfini, the producer, and I forgot who plays my father. It's the guy who's the boy in Almost Famous.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
What's his name? And he was in a movie called Wrist Cutters.
Yeah, no, I can
have to look this up.
Look it up. Look it up.
I met him. It was very funny. I met the woman who played my mother too.
Mm-hmm. So, so your parents are filmmakers. Is that like what like made you want to be a filmmaker? It couldn't have been just them.
You know, they were a big influence because I just grew up. They're always in production. They're always working, and I think I always wanted to make stories. I always wanted to like write comic books, even at an early age. Like even before I could write, I think I kind of wanted to do that. And I think when I got older in middle school, my school you could make movies. There's like sort of like a little after school program where you can make movies.
Sure.
And that's when I got really into doing it. But my parents helped me a lot. And they always had film equipment around, so like if I needed like a light or a camera or that, like I could use their old cameras and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So I always kind of lucked out where I could.
You could just have equipment around.
Yeah, and that kind of still continues to this day. Because now, not to ruin the end of the story, but now I work for my parents. I'm their official sound mixer.
Right.
I started doing that right after CalArts.
Sure. But what was the first film like that was your movie that you made?
The first, it's kind of confusing because I made a bunch of movies with my friends, but I kind of consider that to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah. And what was the subject matter on that?
Oh, they were just like funny like movies. It's funny. I feel like I really missed the boat because now so many kids at my age are making YouTube videos and Vine videos.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of in the vein of that, like really kind of funny skit comedy stuff, like kind of weird elements that were in my later movies. Like I used a lot of stuffed animals as puppets.
Right, and that became a recurring theme.
Yeah. So I think the first movie I ever made that was really my own movie, I was really young, was I made a scene from Lord of the Rings with puppets, and I made all the puppets.
Oh wow.
And I think it was shot on like very early mini DV. It probably does not look very good right now.
Yeah.
Quality wise.
Sure.
And then I made a bunch of movies in high school. The first movie I really made on my own was this guy who was like he was supposed to be an elf, and he was like protesting elf rights for Santa Claus.
Oh,
like,
cute.
Sort of saying that elves are like slave laborers.
Yeah.
And that was like the first movie I made. And it was kind of cool because I remember they showed it like right before winter break. They had like a little talent show, and they showed it, and everyone was like everyone thought it was like hilarious and like cheered, and that was like still today one of the best screenings I ever had, which is kind of funny.
In elementary school.
Yeah, no, this was high school.
High school.
This was like 10th grade. This one.
Mm-hmm.
So we're jumping.
Yeah. So, but was there a class at your high school that you could take for film?
It was like a club. It was like an after-school club you could go to. It was like there was like probably 4 people in this club. It was a very small school. I sort of ended up turning into the bad kid in the club too, because I got really into like I got really into like Quentin Tarantino kind of movies, and I wanted to push the boundaries, I think, of what I could do in a Quaker school.
Oh yeah, because the Quakers, they really don't like violence.
They really don't like violence, and I really wanted to take a direction that was just violence. So, because later, this is much later, I made these cutesy movies like the Elf Rights. It's like kind of like child labor is like sort of taboo, but it was not. It was like very cute and tame. And then I think the next year I made a really big movie where zombies take over the school, and that was like really violent. I made a lot of fake blood. A lot of people got killed. Someone's skull got bashed in, and I made like a bunch of like fake oatmeal and blood for that. It was kind of a cool scene. This guy he bashes this guy's skull in, and I think this like heavy metal industrial song that was on the Matrix soundtrack starts playing.
Yeah, was it like?
It wasn't
Boy,
Rammstein, but it was kind of like Rammstein.
Yeah, it wasn't the one with the cellos, was it?
No.
No.
And that.
It wasn't Dracula.
No. It was not Rob Zombie. It was,
Yeah.
I don't know the band. I wish I could figure it out.
But it was Matrixy, the head's getting bashed in, and then what was the Quaker reaction to that?
It got banned because I showed it at the L3T'S of the talent show. I could not show it at the talent show, and that was, I guess, I was bummed. But now that I'm older, it's kind of like, what did I expect? I think I kind of got what I wanted. I think I wanted to be a bad person, and I got that. So I wanted to be, what's that called? Infamous?
Infamous.
I think I wanted to be infamous.
You acquired some infamy.
But it was actually a really cool experience because I got a lot of people to work on it, and getting a lot of dyslexic people with ADD to work together.
Oh my gosh.
That's actually really cool that I did that. A lot of people worked on it, and I haven't really talked to all those people, but I still really appreciate everyone coming together, being zombies in my movies.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there's at some point there's all these people being zombies, and all these girls were doing the makeup, and a guy was doing sound, and I was really actually directing that. That was actually a really cool experience.
Yeah. Now, did you ever do any film camp or anything like that later?
Yeah, I did. I took classes at UArts. You know about UArts, don't you?
Yeah, it's the art school in
It's the art
Philadelphia.
School. It's a very large art school in Philadelphia. I took a lot of classes there. I became really good friends with I think the main film professor. He was a really cool guy. His name's Mike Wallenreiter. He's an independent filmmaker. He's still making movies today. I think he still lives in Philadelphia. And I kind of became friends with him, and he let me work on his movie productions.
What were they, commercials or?
They were no, he wanted to make these really weird David Lynch movies.
Yeah.
And I would help him out, but he made this crazy movie. You would actually like this a lot. He made this movie about there's a big Liberian community
in Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's a big community of Liberian African immigrants, and they hired him to make this feature-length dramatic movie.
Oh yeah.
And I helped him work on that, but that was really crazy.
The piece was it was not documentary.
It was not a documentary. It was a dramatic narrative movie. It was about people falling in love, cheating on each other's wives. We later found out the entire project was actually made so this one guy could embezzle money with the community to pay his second wife to come to America.
Wow.
Because there's a lot of people in Liberia believe have arranged marriages.
Oh yeah.
And so the way you get to cheat on your wife is you have to marry another woman. So a lot of people have secret second wives and stuff.
Wow.
So that was a really weird Philadelphia experience. And then later I worked on this project with him that was this college hijinks movie in New Jersey, and that was a very bizarre experience too.
All right, here we
What's
go.
going on? Are we at the boss already?
We beat the boss.
We beat the boss.
We beat the lightning whelk.
I just rambled about my life.
No, I mean that's what we're trying to get into on this podcast.
Okay.
But now so for those of you just watching on Twitch, the goal here was to try to acquire this Esper. We don't really know what an Esper is yet, but and that's what all those guards and villagers and everyone we were fighting was trying to protect us from. And now we found it, and now this mysterious girl with the slave crown is going up to it. Where's that light coming from? Ooh, So I don't know if they're dying right now, or they're just being teleported out.
I think they don't come back.
They don't come back. That's true.
I think they're dead.
What was that?
This is actually, I think for a children's game, this is
Witch, where are you? I don't think this is a children's game.
But it wasn't. Because the Super Nintendo...
Family system.
It was a family system.
I don't consider this to be a children's game.
I can't imagine... Although a lot of kids like this game, but you have to be a specific kind.
I think it was teenagers and middle schoolers.
But this was also way before. This was actually, I think, the first commercially successful RPG in America. I think that's right.
Maybe JRPGs. I mean, maybe the first Final Fantasy was. I have no idea.
I think this was the game that really brought people's attention to RPGs. Because anime wasn't really popular in the 90s. Now anime seems like is almost in like mainstream media. Stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
in the 90s, early 90s, people were like still selling tapes out of the trunk of their car.
This was like before Pokemon.
Oh, way before Pokemon. Yeah. This has a good like 7, 8 years on Pokemon.
Yeah, and that was kind of the first big. Even though I feel like they tried really like a lot of early cartoons I feel like had really bad dubs because they were trying really hard to westernize them.
Yeah. Mysterious young woman born with the gift of magic and enslaved by the Gestalian Empire. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. The Gestalian Empire, because Star Wars just came out. It's already that empire.
Oh, we're going to name them. This is a really important part.
Especially to me. I'm going to name all the characters in this Let's Play after different people throughout the course of my life. So I'm going to name this character Terra after my young childhood friend Ada. Now, here comes the Empire. Or is this the Empire, or is this about to be just the villagers? Open up. We're here for the Magitech armor pilot. Oh no, this is just the villagers trying to get at her. Escape out here. So, Liberian films in Philly.
Yeah. I think I was 17 at this time.
Right, you were really young.
I was young, but I was also, it was like my senior year in high school. So I was young, but old in high school. Like, I was doing this to build my resume for college and stuff. How that would actually help me get into college, I'm not really sure if that helped, but...
Now, so for college, you ended up going to MICA in Baltimore, right?
First, yeah.
And that was in when? That was like in the mid-2000s? The late mid-2000s?
Late 2000s.
Late 2000s?
I graduated 2006. And so, yeah, I started that fall of 2006 and end of the year 2007.
And at that time, in Baltimore, there was like a really big music scene, right?
It was, and I do want to talk about that because that was really kind of the first time I really got into. I think that was like the time I really discovered music. Like,
who were some of the big bands?
Yeah, because I was like kind of a shut-in in high school. I didn't really go to music shows. I went to a couple, but I didn't really like. I don't know. I listened to music, but I think I got like really, really into music when I first started seeing like Dan Deacon and like OCDJ
and they were all at the time. They were all local acts.
I got there right at the cusp of Dan Deacon signing to his first big label, and Spider-Man of the Rings came out at the end of that year.
Yeah.
So it was I was like literally the tail end of him going from doing local shows,
being a local community guy,
being an actually really kind of underground musician, just touring and then becoming a huge, like he's touring with Miley Cyrus right now. Yeah, I think that's another thing, but yeah, he became like the big indie band, I think, the next year.
And a lot of that music and that visual, they had visual components and sort of performative aspects of the concerts, and that maybe had an impact on some of the...
Oh, definitely, yeah. I saw so many great... It was like to look back on it was crazy because I would like every weekend I would go to another music show that turned into like my favorite band, or like still today some of my favorite performances.
Sure.
I saw this crazy performance with this guy called Sex. Spelled CEX. He opened up for Girl Talk. And he came out in a wheelchair, and he just played this techno music where he sampled like porn. Mm-hmm. And he was just in this wheelchair going crazy, kind of almost like the Rubber Johnny music video.
Yeah. But
live. And he like at the end of the show, he also had this weird trophy, like one of those trophies you give to like a kid who won soccer or something. Mm-hmm. And he was like jerking it off.
Sure.
And he at the end of the show he got up and was like, I can walk, and everyone cheered, and he like crowd surfed. But he would like I think he was trying to pretend he was like this,
go in
like,
that door.
I don't know. That to me was I think that was kind of the first time I was like, wow, this live performance can be like
really
an art
diverse,
form,
yeah.
or is something more than I feel like I do everything backwards in my life. Like I feel like I saw this kind of crazy like noise band experimental electronic stuff first before I learned about like punk rock, and I think a lot of stuff that influenced that.
Right. Well, I think also my theory about that is from going from a Quaker background.
Yeah.
And also the East Coast at that time in the late 2000s, and people can feel free to disagree with me on this, but I don't think that punk music was very popular.
I think punk music was not very popular
on the East Coast in the late 2000s.
I think punk music has a different purpose in Los Angeles and on the West Coast than it does on the East Coast.
Okay, here come these guards. They're gonna fucking up.
I think punk music, which kind of like, there's so many big punk bands that came out of Los Angeles that it's almost like a staple of the culture here.
It is, yeah.
And I think Philly, although I think there is a very big punk scene in Philly, I don't think it's just a different kind of city. I think cities like Baltimore and Philly, like, because they're so, especially Baltimore, like, I think that's what's really cool about that music scene and art scene is like, it's a tiny city, so like everyone kind of goes to the same shows, like the people, and I feel like I'm seeing it now. There's like a lot of new musicians that are like my age, and I kind of see that influence now. Like I think there's a lot of rappers that are kind of like influenced by Dan Deacon now, and kind of, but also the rap history of Baltimore, like the club music, like Baltimore Club and stuff.
Right.
So you're kind of seeing a new generation of like sort of melting pot of cultures and stuff.
All right, we're in a flashback.
Oh.
This is when I guess she gets the crown put on her.
Wasn't this yellow in the original version? It seems...
Who knows? I'll tell you what. A lot of people are not happy with these updated graphics. They don't think they look very good.
I don't know if I kind of agree. I feel like they made it look like Flash, kind of.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. I like this.
I think the backdrops, I think I enjoy some of these backdrops. And also...
I think the sprites, the character models, I don't know. They tried to... I don't know. I can't really put my finger on why it doesn't look as nice as it did. But.
I think because the graphics are a little bit more punched up, it becomes cutesier than it even seemed when I originally played this game. I didn't really think of it as like real cutie.
Their eyeballs are kind of cutie now.
I also think though that if I was...
Isn't that the main bad guy?
That was
the mustache.
That is the emperor
of
the empire.
What time period is this really supposed to take place in?
I was thinking about that a lot. I would
sort of like pre. Good.
I mean, it's like sort of like steampunk fantasy with like a heavy emphasis on the fantasy and also maybe a heavy emphasis on the punk because, like, this is sort of like it's like industrial
I was
fantasy.
gonna say sort of like during the Industrial Revolution, kind of. Mm-hmm. It's weird because you have a lot of characters that. Yeah, have a lot of sort of steampunk kind of like
gadgets.
Technology, and like these guys are in these sort of like giant robots, but then you have a lot of like medieval castles in this game too. So, this guy, who's this guy gonna be?
A treasure hunter and trail-worn traveler searching the world over for relics of the past. I think this is gonna be Antone. He was
Antone.
He was Antone in the big painting that I did in high school. One thing that viewers should know about this game is that I love this game so much that I did an 8-foot-long painting of this game.
Is that online
in high
anywhere?
school? It is on my Facebook. I think I would like to get some more high-res photos of it for the purposes of while I'm doing so much with this, but look at and I don't like these drawings. I mean, I kind of like them.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I like them, but I
don't like them. This is the thing is I think if I was doing these Let's Play videos with the old Final Fantasy VI look, I think for some people who are not as familiar with video games that I might bring on the show, it would be kind of like looking at like a cave painting, you know? Like it would be hard for them to really interpret some of what was going on with the plot.
I know. When I asked you, I was like, are you sure you want to do Final Fantasy VI? Because It's a very old game at this point.
This game is over 20 years old.
This game's over 20 years old. I'm sure a lot of their Let's Play videos are like Call of Duty, whatever.
Minecraft seemed that it was a little
like,
oversaturated, I think, from what I heard.
I don't know anything about this world.
Goat
Simulator is popular.
I mean, it's sort of like we'll see what happens with it, but I just wanted to beat this game because I never have. And
I agree.
I wanted to do it in a constructive way, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, here we're on this plot point. This guy, he likes to say he's a treasure hunter, even though he's a thief. That's his big thing.
So, I think I have a way to wrap up my Baltimore time period.
Wrap it up for me.
So, what was I gonna say about? I had something to say about Dan Deacon, the whole sort of Baltimore music scene. It was kind of sad because I really loved Baltimore, but I wasn't super happy with the film program Micah.
Yeah, not as good.
It's kind of small, and there wasn't that much emphasis there. There's more emphasis on painting. I kind of knew that going in, but I don't know. I think I just wanted to give it a try to be more rounded artist than I was in high school, just focusing on films. And I wouldn't ever take that back, going there for a year.
Yeah, because it seems to really have influenced you. Like when I first met you, that was like all those bands and like sort of what a lot of like the artistic vibe of that community had a big impact on you.
It still does.
Yeah. So then you come out to California to CalArts.
Yep.
And you went there for 3.5 years. About.
Was it 3.5? Yeah, I guess so.
You didn't do a whole year.
My senior year was one semester because I went to Micah and I had enough credits to not be able to do a second semester.
And also while you were out there, you started doing like some commercial jobs, like you worked for My Chemical Romance.
That was much later. This is sort of jumping ahead of. That was my senior year. My friend Matt Reed and I got hired by our friend Claire Vogel? Is that right?
Claire Vogel. Claire Marie Vogel.
I haven't talked to her, unfortunately. But yeah, Claire Vogel. She started working at Warner Brothers Records pretty fast after she graduated, and she hired us to do these bumpers for My Chemical Romance, and it was good. It was a good job. I don't think I have that much to say. It was a fun experience. It kind of happened really fast, and I didn't really work with the band that much. Like, they would give me notes back, but I don't think I ever really met them.
Yeah.
And I never really... That was sort of just a sort of one-time...
One-time job.
Yeah, I didn't really... A couple of my friends worked for Claire a little bit longer on other jobs, but I sort of haven't talked to him.
Sure.
But I still work with Matt Reed a lot, though. He actually... I'm directing a music video right now that's going to come out for this band called Justine the Highs, and he did the special effects for it.
Oh, wow.
And so he's one of my good friends from CalArts, and we worked on a lot of projects together. We made a movie together this past year called Electric Demon that came out, and I think we might make a sequel to that, and we're probably going to continue to work together in the future. So he's kind of my go-to special effects guy. He's really talented. You should be on the show one day.
Oh, I would love to have him. I would love to have Matt Reed on. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's probably gonna start talking about reptilians and the New World Order.
Right.
But
let's get that going.
But I think that could be appropriate for.
I think that would be great for this podcast. And you were throughout college. You were making lots of different films. Let's go through a couple of those.
Sure.
First one that comes to my mind was called.
We gotta wait. Which one do you want to say?
Internal Voyage is the first one that I really popped into my.
I watched that very
mindscape.
recently. Actually, showed it to my friend Keith, and I think that's a good movie.
I think it was pretty good. I think I was in that movie.
You are in it. We have a kind of weird sexual
tension.
Kind of weird sexual tension. Kind of an intense movie for, I think, my friends in high school watched that movie and they were pretty upset.
Yeah.
I think my high school friends from this conservative sort of suburbs of Philly, me making a movie that was kind of based on like, influenced on like, and all these like noise bands from Baltimore and like I don't know, gay stuff and doing
there was some gay
psychedelic
experimentations
drugs.
going on.
I don't think people could handle it. I think it caught people off guard when I posted on Facebook.
Yeah, I think people forget these times, now that we're in 2016, just how different, I think, attitudes towards even, like, the lightest amount of homosexual content have changed in any media. Like, I remember, like, you know, just being younger and, like, even if someone knew I was gay, I wouldn't want to bring it up because I could tell, sort of based on their, like, body language and everything, that something about it, like, physically repulsed them, you know?
I think it depends where you are.
Yeah.
I think in Los Angeles, there's a big gay community in Los Angeles. I think the suburbs of Philadelphia,
less.
Not so much.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we stole a mithril knife.
That's actually kind of an important thing to note for me, is the suburbs of Philly is very, very conservative.
Yeah.
They're not so.
So there was some drive to rebel, maybe.
A lot of drive, still.
Still a drive. You still feel that drive to
rebel.
No,
still to this day.
Just a general rebellion drive.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I started making movies. They kind of took a left turn. Was a lot more influenced on experimental movies, or just experimenting with what movies are instead of kind of just making a traditional narrative.
Right. I mean,
a big theme for.
I don't really remember any of your films having like a really, really like super.
I think they all do, but
they definitely all have a narrative, but like never one that is like if you wrote like a Wikipedia entry plot summary on what had happened in the film, it would be kind of hard to do that. Like, which is true for even.
I think it'd be hard, but I think, and what I do is when people are kind of accuse me of my movie's not making sense, I ask like, oh well, what do you think the premise is? And they're like, well, I think it's like these guys are, you know, angry at this guy for being famous, or this girl's trying to save her boyfriend. Like, I think the actual actions of my movies are very simple. But I think the way I make them or the way I get to them is like kind of more complex.
Sure. Alright, so now we rescued the damsel in distress. Not in love with damsel in distress rescue scenes, but we got to play with those little Moogles, those little cave teddy bears with the bat wings. So those are great.
Actually my favorite characters in the game.
Yeah, I think I am going to name the playable Moogle in this game after you.
Awesome. He comes in pretty late though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while before he shows up, and he's an optional character too. So we can't. I gotta get the strategy guide because I mean the first everything.
No, I remember how you get him.
I remember too. I think you have to come back here.
Yeah, he's in this cave.
Save your thanks for the Moogles.
Well, you have to get. Should I ruin the ending of the game? Or?
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
You have to. What happens in this game is you collect all the characters, and then.
You lose all the characters.
You kind of lose everybody, and then the second half you have to collect them all again, but you don't really have to get all of them. You just sort of have. I think you have to get like one, or there's one person who has to get, who's the guy who owns the blimp vehicle. I think he's the only person you have to get because you need the blimp vehicle to get to the final level.
Sure.
So yeah, but. What was I gonna say about my life story? I don't know what to say about CalArts in a weird way. It's been 5 years since we graduated, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen the world change a lot since then.
Sure.
Technology-wise, for filmmaking, and just kind of culturally as well.
Yeah, man.
And I think we kind of went to college in a weird period that was sort of the transition of like where culture was kind of ending then and kind of beginning where it is now. Does that make sense? Because like
I think it was to do with
recession started.
The recession and the tail end of the Bush years was really bad.
There was that. Obama getting elected. I think smartphones coming out was kind of the beginning of sort of technology and information being spread faster.
Yeah, even like a next stage. Like now, like the way the way Facebook worked then is not the way Facebook works now.
And that's what's also funny because sometimes I look at old photos and they're really good photos, but like one person liked it.
Right.
And now I post a stupid photo of myself and like 30 people will like it.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems crazy to how... I don't know if more people are on it than ever before or more people are engaged on it than ever before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I guess more people are on it now because when we were in college, it was sort of like just a college thing.
Yeah.
And now it's like anybody has, and everyone does have it.
Everyone does have it, yeah.
So,
I mean, I just feel like so many things that are going on in culture right now, like, especially like with Black Lives Matter and that type of stuff, is totally like because of like our ability to share video.
I think that's definitely true.
Quickly.
I think the police brutality stuff has always happened. I think you talked to a lot of people. They've said that it's always been like this, but now it's really just being brought to the media.
Yeah, because if you think about the huge cases that we've seen. Oh, monster in a box.
Well, now there's a new order where police have to wear camera phones.
And they are constantly recording.
They're being constantly recorded.
That's not everywhere yet, though, is it?
Not everywhere. I think Los Angeles is doing it. It was one of the first people to do it. I'm kind of skeptical. It seems like if you're a corrupt cop, you're gonna be able to figure. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
be able to
I know that like organized crime, like Sopranos type shit, has gone way, way down because of the way social media tracks us so heavily. It's harder for them to operate. And so, who knows what will happen to the crooked cops. But I think if we look at, like, the major cases this year, like... Oh, what's this? Is that...
This podcast has gotten really heavy really fast.
It has. We're getting maybe... I don't really know. Maybe... How about this?
Okay.
This is my new plan.
Let's take it back a notch.
Here's this... Not to take it back a notch at all, but here's my new plan, is whenever we get to moments of dialogue like this, we stop... This is what I'll tell all the people who come on the podcast after this. We'll stop talking about whatever we're talking about. I'll wait for whoever's talking to wrap up. And then we'll go back and forth reading the dialogue.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
So, here, I'll start. It's not safe here. We better hightail it south to Figaro. Oh, that was there was going to be a little back and forth there. But that's what we'll do.
Next time.
Yeah, but... Is that hay? Oh, we can't stay here. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. But anyway, like we were saying, what were you gonna say?
Just looking back, and I think when we went to college was an odd time period because it was kind of like, also especially going to film school, like HD kind of was just starting to come in. It was kind of this. So it was like mini DV, which is this digital format that like. Was never, like, it was used, but it was never taken seriously. Nobody was like, oh, mini DV's better than film. And then HD came in, which kind of turned indie filmmakers into being able to make more legitimate movies. And now everyone has HD. Like, people on their phones have HD video. So that really, really changed a lot.
There's, like, movies that are up for awards that are, like, shot on iPhone.
Yeah, like Tangerine was shot entirely on iPhone.
Yeah.
And I think stuff like that's just going to continue.
But like, it's crazy because the two cases of police brutality that have really blown up in the recent times, Sandra Bland and Tamir Rice. Whoa, look at the 3D modeling on that. That looks horrible, but it's kind of so bad it's like amazing.
It looks cool, but like it makes it look like he's gonna step on it. Like it looks like a Lego castle.
It's so bizarre looking. Wow. Oh man, well, not to distract from that important... Halt! Oh, it's you. Proceed. They were filmed. The Sandra Bland thing and the Tamir Rice thing were on film. So there's still all the bad stuff happening that we aren't even seeing, right? Like this has to be only the...
Rodney King was shot on a VHS camera.
Right, and that's why that blew up.
It's the same idea.
So
accessible technology being able to capture these things.
And what's amazing is we have the technology and they still don't... The people still get away with it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. The gun control laws, same thing.
I think it's just... I think as generations go, maybe it'll get better. You know?
I think we're at a point culturally where it has to.
Because the kids know that it's bad.
Everyone knows it's bad.
I mean, not everyone. There's some fucking conservative Looney Tunes out there.
I think that's the other problem. It's like, I think there's such a divide in the country that they'd say people are either really against it or really for it. Like there's no middle ground anymore. And you're seeing that in the presidential candidates too, where it's like really far right or really far left. Anyways, going back to, I don't know how to wrap up CalArts. It was cool. I kind of liked it. It was a good experience. I got to develop my own style. I got to do a lot of things. And I met a lot of great friends that I'm still friends with today. And I chose to stay in Los Angeles, so that was a big decision. Influenced by CalArts, and I'm still here today. Still, yeah, like you said, I did that job with Matt Reed, right, when we were both right after out of school, and we just finished a music video together. He actually is a professor at CalArts now, so that's kind of cool.
Matt Reed is?
He just graduated, and he...
Graduated from CalArts again?
Yes, CalArts grad. He went back to CalArts grad school for animation, and they gave him a job as a teacher. So in a way, I'm jumping around a lot, but I think all of us, CalArts is kind of a weird where it's in Valencia, which is pretty not really close to anything. And I think what happens is people that go there create these communities, and then once everyone graduates, it's very difficult to maintain those communities. Everyone really just kind of goes in their own direction. Because like at Micah's, I think is good, more or UArts are like these city campuses. So if you went to UArts, you could just kind of stay in Philadelphia, and I don't think your life would change that much. Or same with Micah, you stay in Baltimore or something. I think in stay in Valencia, there's not much opportunity unless you want to still work through CalArts, I think. So, what was I saying? But I've gone back. I don't know. Do you go back to CalArts a lot?
No, I haven't been back in a long time.
I always end up back there. I think I'm one of the few people. I still have friends that go there. My friend Amy is in grad school.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Alex Bullergrad is in undergrad there. Did you ever meet Alex Bullergrad?
Oh, yeah.
He's a really cool guy. And he was this guy. He was like a teenager, but he would like hang out with us at CalArts, and now he goes there. And Matt's a teacher there.
Matt's a teacher there.
I still have a lot of connections there. I'm kind of over the like, oh, I'm an alumni, I should be back there. Like, I don't care. It's like, it's always a little weird because I think when you go back, you see people that are like you. Like, I think CalArts has such a specific type of person they want.
Yeah.
You kind of see like the new model of you.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people have experienced that. And
yeah.
It's always a little.
My friend Marcus also into CalArts talked about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk this king. You mean this young woman is?
Oh, who are you?
Oh, my apologies. How rude of me to turn my back to a lady on our very first meeting.
His armor was not blue in the original version. This is bothering me.
Yeah, it was more of a muddier color.
Yeah.
The young king of Figaro Castle, imperial ally and champion of the technological revolution. Who are we got?
Who's this guy gonna be?
I think it's gonna be John Bertle.
John Bertle. Okay.
We're gonna go with Bertle.
I don't know if is this guy got Bertle man?
This is what I think. This is why I think this character is John Bertle for a couple reasons. First of all, he's a leader.
Okay.
Sort of like how John Bertle sort of leads on K-Chung in the Eternal Telethon.
Uh-huh.
Also, and he's a social guy. He's also blonde, like John Bertle. Okay. He is witty, but underneath the wittiness, or not witty, but he's like playful, but underneath the playfulness, he's actually very like particular and decisive. And also, I think he's like involved very organizationally in taking down the Empire, which is like John Bertle's like MO.
Okay.
John Bertle.
You sold me.
I've sold you? John Bertle's a little less flirty than this guy, but
I think he's a little less flirty, and I don't know if John has a good grasp on technology as much as this guy.
He doesn't John Bertle doesn't make like automatic crossbows and stuff like that.
Yeah, or chainsaws or whatever.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite characters in this game.
He's definitely, when I first played it, he was my favorite character.
Yeah, he's a cool character. I like his chainsaw.
The chainsaw is great.
Yeah.
I am Bertle, the king of Figaro.
Surprised that someone like me knows a king? That's something Anton would say, I think. Well, I'll catch you two later.
So, you're an Imperial soldier, right? Don't worry, Figaro and the Empire are allies. Feel free to rest here for as long as you'd like. It's not in my blood to harm a lady.
Why are you being so kind to me? Is it because of my abilities?
I'll give you 3 reasons. First of all, your beauty has captivated me. Second, I'm dying to know if I'm your type. I guess your abilities would rank a distant third.
What's the matter?
Guess my technique's getting a bit rusty.
I suppose a normal girl would have felt something from those words.
I don't think she would have.
Old, but not me. Some emo anime stuff happening here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Dog shit all over you?
Shit all over me.
So then after CalArts...
Okay, after CalArts, a lot of stuff happened. Not gonna lie, I was a little lost of what to do.
Oh, yeah.
I think I kind of wanted to keep doing what I was doing at CalArts, but that's not really like a real job. No one's really gonna pay you to make experimental movies.
Right, you gotta find that real job, or that, like, sort of real job, and then do that other stuff on the side.
Yeah, and, that real job, I started working for my parents. I became the sound mixer for them, which means I would go on shoots with them and record all of the audio with the microphone and stuff, and I've done that for a while now. I think I've done that pretty much since I left. We were making this documentary on this elementary school in Upper Darby, and I've made a ton of movies with them together. Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't come out, but a couple of them have. One came out this last year, actually, about the prison system in Lancaster, California, about the death penalty. And that's kind of a weird thing I actually want to talk about in this podcast. It's sort of... I think I'm putting your boyfriend to sleep.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it, because it's like I went from this kind of like growing up in the suburbs, making movies, kind of sort of typical sort of white kid.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. I would say easy. I had a lot of opportunities other people didn't, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm not taking that for granted at all. Yeah, and then I went to art school, which I wouldn't say it was easy, but a lot, another good opportunity.
Oh, shit.
And then I started making these movies where I'm on death row, interviewing some guy who murdered his wife.
Right.
And is really regretful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big difference than being at CalArts movie talking to, I don't know, some hipster guys complaining about...
I can't believe he made that painting.
Yeah. And another documentary I worked on was in the children's hospital in Philadelphia called CHOP, where we followed around a lot of kids that had cancer, really little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids that had a lot of really bad conditions, like severe scoliosis. We profiled surgeons that did really unique things. Where there's these kids that have scoliosis, their bodies are so twisted that they're literally gonna grow like at an angle like that.
Yeah.
And this surgeon created this device, these bars that he pretty much inserts into their spine that literally straightens them out. And he has to they extend over the years. So these kids spend a lot of their life in hospitals doing this surgery because they're growing. So that's hard to wrap your mind. That's your childhood.
It's really hard to wrap your mind around that. And so these 2 documentaries did get released.
The hospital one, unfortunately, was not finished.
Now let's talk about that. How does a documentary start getting made, not get finished, and then...
I feel like my parents probably don't want me to talk about this because it has to do with some legal stuff.
Could you talk about it maybe just in a general way?
I will say about this. The Philadelphia movie, okay, the prison movie, which we started at the same time, this was in 2012 now, that was funded by HBO. My parents have a relationship where they've made a lot of movies for HBO. Mm-hmm. And so that got picked up by HBO. And what happened was my parents pitched that movie. They gave them some money to make kind of a sample short version of the movie. And then once HBO, the producer of HBO, saw that short version, they're like, okay, we like this, we want to turn this into a big movie. And making that short took about a year. Mm-hmm. And then shooting that movie, we went in and out of prisons for, I think, 3 years. Okay. Was it 3 years? It was 2012 to 2000. I would say probably 2 years, 2012 to 2013. Mm-hmm. And then the post was another year. Oh, yeah. So it was a 3-year production, but 2 years of being in prisons. Hospital movie we shot in 1 month. That was not by HBO. That was a private investor. Uh-huh. And there were some complications to that, and I think my parents will get angry at me if I say anything.
All right, so don't say anything more. But I get the gist.
That didn't come out.
I get the gist of how that all sort of works now.
Yeah, you need a lot of money to make these movies.
Now let's talk about. I would say we've got a good 12 minutes left here on the podcast. Let's talk about what projects. What's your most recent film project, and what's that all about, and what are some things you maybe have coming up?
Well, I have these two music videos that are coming out for this band called Justing the Highs.
Right.
I'm literally finishing that today. And I don't know when they're going to come out, but I think they're going to come out really soon, and I'm really proud of how they turned out.
And where can we see those? Can we see those on Vivo?
I think they're going to be on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I made a movie called Electric Demon with my friend Matt.
Right.
Reed. I'm submitting that to festivals. I might try to screen that in LA locally sometime this year. I don't have any plans to, but that's a goal of mine.
Now, what does screening at festivals do for a film?
It can do a lot of things. It's a bit of a gamble. It could do a lot of things, or it could do nothing. It screens at a festival. You get that the recognition of that festival, and depending on how big the festival is, it kind of is how much merit that holds. Like Sundance, everyone wants to get into that because everyone knows about that festival and everyone's looking at that, and you can make a lot of connections and see people that'll see your movie. And I got into Slam Dance. I think. Oh wait, should we do this?
Oh sure, yeah.
Bertle has a twin brother, you know. He was such a nice boy, always thinking of his family.
Oh, I think there's a flashback. Yeah, here we go.
But I think festivals are just one way of getting your movie out there. I don't think they're the only way to do it now. So.
Bertle, what's wrong with Dad? Why is everyone talking about a successor?
Are you blind? Haven't you seen how thin his face has become?
What do you mean?
Bertle.
I guess
I forgot who I was.
I forgot who I was too. Are we gonna get to name this guy? Are you crying?
Youth. Who's Youth? Oh, this guy. Wait, who is this guy?
Bertle's twin brother who traded the throne for his own freedom.
This is another one of my favorite characters.
This guy.
Who's this guy gonna be?
I think it's gonna be Marcos.
Marcos,
because this guy is very. He does it. He kind of hides out in the woods. He's like a nice guy, but he's not like trying to really.
This guy's like ripped. Come on, Marcos.
It's not about being ripped. I just think it's something about the attitude, the jolly attitude.
He's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of character of the game, isn't he?
He is.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Kurt Russell. He's like
Kurt Russell. Yeah, I had a guy tell me once that I was like Kurt Russell because I looked good in any shirt. I take it that compliment. I took it nicely. But no, listen, this guy lives in the mountains. Like Marcos, like I remember one time I tried, because Marcos is such a great artist, and I tried to make a Tumblr for him, and he got really big on Tumblr actually. Like he got a lot of reblogs and for all of his posts, because before he was on like WordPress, so nobody looks at that. But he was like intentionally on WordPress so that no one would see it. Okay. And like that to me is like this guy's attitude. Like I still haven't sold you.
That's your game.
It's my game. Okay, it's my game, it's my game, and it's my decision, and that's when I decide it. Yes, Marcos. I'm sure he's a fine young man by now. He was just a boy when he left, even smaller than his brother. I wonder where he is now and what he's doing.
I'm excited to hear your description of why I should be the Moogle.
I don't know, because I think it's mostly, it's really basically because I knew you like Moogle so much. I thought it would be right for you. And like you said, they sort of look like teddy bears, weird teddy bears, and you use a lot of stuffed animals in your movies.
That's true. One
of your films where you used a stuffed animal that I really enjoyed was a collaboration you did with filmmaker James Benning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's my big claim to fame. I guess I should have brought that up.
Well, I'm bringing it up right now. First of all, tell everyone who's listening out there who James Benning is to you.
He's one of the big celebrity faculty in the film department at CalArts.
That's right.
He's a very famous experimental filmmaker. He's very famous for making movies that are, I think you could honestly say, are about nothing. He will photograph,
but not in the way Seinfeld's about nothing. Like literally,
literally nothing. Like he'll film a railroad track for 2 hours. That's actually one of his movies called RR, and people love it. So he, when I was graduating, he really wanted to make a collaboration with me. This is a very short version of the story, but and we did it. I made a scene in Philadelphia where I'm wearing a pumpkin mask, I have a chainsaw, kind of maybe a little bit like Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
And ripping a bunch of stuffed animals to shreds with this chainsaw, and I light it on fire. It's very graphic movie. It's part of a bigger movie I made, and was making at the time, and he made his half, and it got into Slamdance and a couple other festivals like San Francisco.
It got into something Slamdance, which is like an affiliate of Sundance, maybe, or something.
No, it's its own festival. It happens during the same time in Park City as Sundance, but it's its own thing.
Oh, that's what it was. It's happening at the same time as Sundance.
I got in, and that was a really good experience. I made a lot of connections. I actually became a judge for Slamdance.
That I knew.
A judge for the experimental section of Slamdance. So, how about that? And it's that movie's kind of had its lights of its own because James Benning showed it at other places too, and I don't even really know where it all showed, but yeah, that was cool. But now I have a lot of new movies. I have this movie called Electric Demon. I'm hoping to get out there this year. It's on YouTube. I made
If you just YouTube Electric Demon, is that enough for our listeners and viewers?
Hope so. I don't know.
What else could they type into the search bar that would maybe get a little bit more of a result for?
Well, Creepy Hipster Kid Dances to Katy Perry is my.
Is your most biggest video?
My biggest video is actually a music video I did for our friend's band Pangea, now called Together Pangea.
Right.
You could find that for Summertime Together Pangea.
Yeah.
I directed that. Creepy Hipster Kid. List goes on. Hits. And I'm making a documentary. I'm finishing up a documentary about this woman who owns a thrift store. And did I tell you about this?
No.
This woman, she owns a thrift store in upstate New York. She has a lot of stories about ghosts and aliens sort of coming to the thrift store. And what I do is I reenacted all of her stories. So it's kind of like half documentary, half sort of experimental narrative movies, like the kind of movies I made in college. And also kind of like the documentaries I worked on with my parents. My parents helped me make it, so I'm excited about that movie because it's kind of a weird, very weird hybrid of all the projects I've kind of been working on since I guess I started making movies. So I'm excited for that. And aside from that, I'm finishing up a movie with my parents. I did sound for a new movie of theirs that's going to be on the Discovery Channel. About water rights, the drought in LA, another heated topic. I spent the last couple months traveling with them to Arizona, San Fernando Valley, Colorado, and they finished that literally yesterday. I think they handed in the final cut yesterday. January 8th was yesterday.
January 8th was yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm at a weird point in my life where I'm actually completely done with every project I've been working on.
Oh yeah?
So I'm excited for this year because I have a clean slate of new projects that I want to do.
I know, this is my new project.
I know.
And I'm so honored to have you as the very first guest because I knew that you would understand the subject matter. Also,
Yeah.
you are a filmmaker, so you are technically knowledgeable, so you can help with that
I hope it helped.
side of it. And you also have played this game, so...
Yes.
And we've also known each other for like 10 years. So that all...
What is it, 2007?
It's more like 8 years, really.
I think it's like 8, going on 9, but I'm sure we will know each other in 10 years.
I'm sure we
You know
will
what I mean?
too.
So...
Oh
might as well
my
round it
goodness.
I think it's a good place to stop in the game, too.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy I was trying to save up for a bio blaster, but maybe that's for the next podcast. Let's save. And next time we will keep taking on the Evil Empire on Let's Play Final... We need to come up with a name. Because, I mean, on YouTube I'm just going to title it Let's Play Final Fantasy VI on Steam. It's already a long name.
Johnny Junkoguts plays?
Oh, I think I'll do, and then I'll do part 1 with James Raymond. Because Johnny Junkoguts, that's already my channel. And it'll be...
Wait, maybe we should brainstorm it.
We should brainstorm
Yeah,
it.
let's brainstorm it after.
Let's
All right.
brainstorm it after.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.